Thank you so much, Shoman Bhai, for inviting me as a keynote speaker here. And yeah, it's true that I'm the part of this Women in Conference from 2018. And really convey my warm regards to all of the, um, the discussionist over here. And today my the discussion is on the depicting sun preference in Indian cinema, and obviously the entire discussion it will be concentrated from a feminist contemplation. So, as a part of the introduction, I would like to show the clips from the film, the Mathrubhumi, A Nation Without Women. The film was produced in 2003 and it was directed by Manish Jha. And this was the first Indian film, which was raised the voice against the sun preference, female infanticide, and also the polyandry system in India. So first, we would like to show the clips and then we will discuss. Within Indian patriarchal family structure, a well-established preference for male progeny, pooled with an emerging preference for small families, has resulted in a loss of girls either before or after their birth. And the sun preference in India is understood within a number of different stands of thoughts. And while it is considered as part of the cultural beliefs and practices, such as the inheritance, the sex ratio as a reliable indicator of the gender equality remain highly unfavorable to women in South Asia. And since here I consider that the film and sociology are interlinked. So, in this discussion, I would like to discuss that do Indian parallel filmmakers criticize to the patriarchy when they have visualized the rights of womb? And here I would like to approach the films of post 90s alternative filmmakers from a particular sense of representations. And here the term representation has been discussed from the two discourses. One, the representation as speaking of as in politics, and then the representation as in art or philosophy. So we have already seen the clips from the particular scene from the film Hamatrubhumi, A Nation Without Women. This film has visualized that the female feticide and infanticide promoted by sun preference could have contributed significantly to the fall in the sex ratio, and they assert that sex selection at birth through the emerging technology of sex determination in largely a common phenomenon. Director Manish Jha has strongly focused that due to the strong feelings of the sun preferences in India, every year almost 7 lakhs girls are killed by their parents before they are born. And in Asian countries, discrimination against the female child is not a rare phenomenon. And even after birth, girls are at a much higher risk of childhood death than boys. And female babies are less likely to survive the first year than their male counterparts. And after birth, sun preference continues to persist, leading to the neglect of girls and their lack of the access to nutrition, health, and maternal care in these critical early years. So patriarchy always determines the resilience of son preference and the tendency of the couple in Indian family. I mean, they are, I mean, always try to promote the son preference to complete their family. And the film, it's a the called the Nahanyate. It is basically directed by Ringo, and it's a Bengali film. It has visualized the strong feelings of son preference, where a mother had chosen the life of only one child among two. And Jui, basically the protagonist of this film, was emotionally connected with her daughter, but nevertheless, she shapes the life for her son as her old age assets and security. And here I would like to mention the specific part of the film.
Debjani, there is no sound actually with the
Hello,
footage you are
hello.
screening. There is no sound in the film. I mean, what you are screening.
Okay,
Yeah, please.
okay. Just let me a few minutes just. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but there is no audio of your clippings.
Yeah, but in my clippings, I mean the sounds are okay, but
Can you cut the share and try to share again? Reshare.
okay, okay, okay. Just I mean, just give me
And
2 minutes.
then it will be ask you the audio access
Okay, okay,
in computer. Yeah. Then
okay.
just allow the audio sound, because watching the clippings without audio is no use to see.
Yeah, yeah,
Stop sharing on Zoom.
Was it audible now?
Um,
Hello?
no, no, not yet.
Okay. Because from
In the Zoom app top, there's a stop sharing. You can make it a stop sharing. Yes, after
Hello, Devjani, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Uh,
you.
What you do is you go to the share option that you only you can see, we cannot see. There's this whole panel, right? When you're sharing the screen, there's a panel that has video, audio, this and that. Pause, stop sharing, and right? Do you see that? Like there are three dots, or it is written more over there. When you click on that button, there will be an option, share sound. It has to be manually activated when you're sharing sound on Zoom. Did you find it? You're muted. Do you hear me? Hello? Can you unmute yourself? Yeah. So there is a panel, right? Because you're sharing the screen, there is this rectangular long panel in front of
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Ha ha ha.
There you see at the right corner, it's
Ha.
either written more or you have three dots. Can you press?
Yeah, it's a three dots. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see there is an option share sound over there?
No, there is only three options. One is the mute my audio, then stop video, and their rename.
You don't see that one on share sound on the very bottom left? It's a box for me, just
Let's
a box.
proceed, I guess, without the video.
Okay, okay. Anyway, so I will go through the discussion. I mean, okay. Yeah, the so I would like to skip the video actually, because since there is some sound problem. The what I have discussed that the due to the strong feelings of son preferences, the gradual decline of the female sex ratio indicates the gender discrimination in Indian society, and India's sex ratio among children the aged between 0 to 6 years is alarming. And the film The Unwanted is produced by the Human Rights Law Network, and it's explained that in a society with a strong preference for boys, couples with more girls would continue childbearing till they have achieved their desired numbers of male children. The film has shown that the term son preference specifies the gender discrimination and nurtures the attitude that sons are more important and more valuable than the daughters. The film Unwanted, it has been discussed that the son preference has a historical roots, and that was connected from the Vedic period. And in Rig Veda, the son is referred to as the Putra, Sunu, Veer, and the Rishi Kakshivat said that the husband and the wife should pray together for a brave son. And the tradition has maintained that the marriage began to be projected as valid only if it leads to progeny, and particularly to the births of sons. A dominant theme is the Vedas was importance of the fertility, which ensured the propagations of son. So now I would like to discuss about the film. It's Anand Pattabardhan's film Father, Son and Holy War. And this film has been explained the questions of son preference alongside gender asymmetries requires different types of inquiry and explorations that account for dynamism, contradictions, challenge and change. And the film has been shown that in Indian society, the concept of reproduction is not only a biological process, and it is also closely tangled with the socio material, cultural, and the political norms. And in Indian countries, the poverty, inequality, and the population have been both internationally and nationally brought together for a long term time. And it is very alarming that the gender relations is always crucial in the term of the reproductions. So we have a very stereotypical idea that the sun preference has been only practiced by the rural, uneducated class, but in reality, it's completely different. And if I mean now, I mean there is a obviously there is a technical fault, so I won't able to show the clips. But the thing is that the from the film we have. Reveal the politics of reproduction within educated upper middle class and upper class families, where the subjugated by the strong feelings of preference of the male progeny. And in this Indian context of the questions of gender politics in reproduction came earlier through the demographic and policy formulations, interest in fertility, population growth, and non acceptance of the contraceptions, and subsequently on regional kinship and the female autonomy differences between the southern and the northern part of the India. Director Anand Patwardhan told me in an interview, it's around 2019, that while the sun preference is not only necessarily a belief, even sun preference and sex ratio are most often used to identify the gender discrimination. And he argued that the sun preference is understood within several different stands of thoughts, and he explained that while sun preference is spoken of in terms of the cultural beliefs and practices such as inheritance, the sex ratio has been used as an indicator of the gender equality and inequality, which has made an impact on the demographic and statistical sphere of South Asia. So in the film, father, son, and holy war, they are depicted that in the Indian patriarchal society has the several superstitions have been deployed with the idea of the sun preference. This film has visualized that in southern part of the India, especially among the Tamil Brahmin families, have traditionally practiced the particular ceremony which is associated with to give birth of the male progeny. The women have to eat barley corn and to mustard seeds or beans placed on both sides of the barleycorn, and the woman should observe the image of the male genital organ, so that she could give birth of a male child. And the film has raised the pertinent questions that in the post globalized period, that when uh, the science and technology have turned to all irrational practices, so why have some people been still rushing towards the getting the male progeny? Now I would like to discuss the film Kissa. So the Kissa, this film, it has been produced in 2014, and Anup Singh Batla was the director of the film. And this film was plot in 1947. And while the Sikh named Umber Singh was dissatisfied at the fact that he doesn't have a son to carry on his family lineage, which is assumed to be carried forward by males of the next generation. And he stated to his wife about his expectations toward male progeny. But Maher, his wife, is unsure and fearful that if she has another girl, so Umber will leave her. And during the birth of their fourth child, Umber takes the child from the womb and declares that the happiness that it's a boy. And Meher checks the gender of the child and realize that the child is in fact a girl. And Umber is declaring the child to be a male because of his strong desire to have a son. And this film is quite interesting because this film, it's revealed about the identity of a woman. I mean, those who in a patriarchal societal structure whose identity was basically forcefully it's forcefully it was basically I mean the covered as the son, I mean the identity of a male. So this is the coalitions, or basically this one is the confrontations between to explore the identity of a woman from a male. And it was clear from the film that the preference for a son and discrimination against a daughter was related to a few socio-political and economic factors. And the principal purpose served by the birth of the sons were that he enabled the father to pay off the debt he owed to his ancestors and secure the immortality and heavenly worlds. And the most important secular advantages from the sun were the economic utility and the perpetuations of the race through them. And this reason was sufficient enough for people to procure a son by whatever the methods. In the film Kissa, it was directed by Anup Singh. It's basically he tried to focus that how the various codes of exchange and communications, despite some of the existence of the overreaching barriers for women, also offered women both negotiations power and routes to fulfillment within the patriarchal household setup. And they are narrated that the woman's autonomy and agency, even within patriarchal structure, and ultimately presented an alternative epistemological portions to the more reductionist view of other studies. And however, in the aspect of South Asia, the defocus upon the birth points to the moment at which males and females are born and become masculine and feminine, and showing both the necessity and relevance of feminist existentialism, but also its conceptualized distance to the cultural context of South Asia. And social constructivism sadly seems to flutter in the wind during times when aspirations of the households and communities can seemingly only be achieved by the production of family lines of male hires. In 2019, I have a scope to communicate with a great filmmaker, Sham Benegal, and Sham Benegal has explained me in an interview that the most spectacular ploys of the capitalist patriarchy, which has been the simultaneous privatization and institutionalization of the motherhood, and whereas the woman was always taunted and sexually abused by her husband and in-laws since she was not the mother of a son. The patriarchy dictates that the taste of maleness and the femaleness lies in the ability to produce a son. And if we will follow up this graph, so we can find out that there is a higher proportion of the woman than man to to desire of a son. And a son is one way for them. A son is one way. Tickets to moksha or old age support, separately renewable check for the dowry, and so people does anything to get son. And secondly, in all such cases, the birth of a son is attributed to the efficacy of the methods, and however, any failure to dump on the errors or ill luck of the karma or the user. And thirdly, there is almost a total absence of the culture of questioning, and there is almost the conspiracy of the silence. And the state, academicians, politicians, professionals, media, social organizations, judiciaries, they almost of them prefer to keep numb. And in 2010, I mean, in India, there is also obviously, I mean, there is the existence of the PCPNDT Act. I mean, they completely stopped. Legally, they try to stop the say prenatal sex determination. But I mean, due to the son preference, still there is a lots of states. I mean, like Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Delhi. I mean, especially and also the north southern part of India. The Tamil Nadu. I mean, they have practiced the son preferences, and also for that the female feticide and infanticide is still occurred in India. Simultaneously, there is the another interesting film. It's Kajaria. It has explained that the political economy of sun preference, and according to the patriarchal social norms, a lack of the access to assets, capital, and resource is at the heart of the woman's deprived position in India. And without rights to land to real, instead of the nominal inheritance preference of sons will continues to overshadow any positive perceptions of the girls, as they will remain as economic additions rather than the economic agents, and giving dowries and out marriage of the women from their natal homes. And the film's concerns were focused on the material base of the gender relations around the ownerships, forming the basis of for the son preference alongside other gender biases. And now I would like to discuss about a very interesting film. It's called the Adda Pillami, and it's directed by Mahesh Babu. And it has visualized the discrimination against girl child, and the story demonstrates the various forms of discrimination that girls children experience. And there is a very much interesting, this is the entire film is basically the folded of the two stories. And the first story is a girl from a working class family, and who is about the 8 years old, and her parents expect her to help around the house, to take care of her baby sister, and while her brother is allowed to eat more food, study, play, and have ice cream as he pleases. And her story shows her strong struggle to balance the household chores and expected to her because she is a girl, while finding time to study and to go to school. And she ends up failing her exams because her parents did not allow her enough time to study. And she fantasized about the how different the situation will be if his brother would only share the course and cares their baby sister. And the second story, it was about the other girl, a slightly better of family, and she wears the makeup and enjoys the dancing with her friends, but her parents scolded her for these indulgences, and they no longer allow her to attend the school because there was a fear to harasses the girl by boys. And she is quite bored, and her parents eventually permits her to become a domestic worker, but this makes her vulnerable to assault by the employer. So it's a very common phenomenon that in Indian society, and basically within the the working class, there is a there's a lots of statistics to drop out of the children from, especially the girl children, from the schools because they are basically the bound of taking care of their siblings. So in 2010, though it's not a film, it's basically the television series. It's brought out by the Star Plus, and Amir Khan was the basically the coordinator of this program. It's called the Satyameva Jayate. The show has discussed that the foundation of son preference is based on commonly cited practice like the dowry, patriarchal kinship relations, and male inheritance. And the preference for sons has strongly historical roots in how social relations, capital, assets, and customs are managed and maintained. The states like Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, etc., where the gender discrimination is the basic feature, and their political economy can in part of the charted by out by the looking at how power hierarchy, wealth, control, and stability have been at the center of maintenance of the gender relations in those regions. And this structure, which generates the anti-girl child sentiments, also generate a number of contradictions. And these contradictions contribute to the very structures themselves and are equally significant to understanding the foundations of son preference through, for instance, the social relations and economic rationale for preferring on over choosing to have the male progeny. So I would now, I'm just the end of my discussion. So from a feminist perspective, so I would like to discuss that it has been observed that the social system of the patriarchy with male as the primary authority figures in central to the organization of much of Indian society, and the system upholds the institution of male rule and privilege and mandates female subordinations. And patriarchy manifests itself in the social, religious, political, legal, and economic organization of the society. And the patriarchal societies is most the parts of the India have translated their prejudices and intolerance, compulsive preference for boys, and discrimination against the girl child. And they have also allowed the practice such as the female infanticide, dowry, bride burning, sati. And despite its social construction, patriarchal culture reinforced by the major religion in the country maintain its strange hold on the gender inequality. And the prevalent patriarchal framework places as an ideological ban on the discussion of alternative approaches to achieve the gender justice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Debjani, for your wonderful papers. And I'm sure after the discussion and everything, maybe they will ask you something if there's any, if they have anything. I would like to request Mr. A.K. Reza Ghalib, who's a filmmaker from Bangladesh, to say a few words about your papers or his observation. Thank you. It's up to you. Yeah, maybe you can sit over there.
Okay, I think now everybody can. Okay, first I must congratulate Debjani for a very well written and well conceptualized paper. And I have read it before you had actually presented it today. And it was, means I would actually rather speak in like a filmmaker's point of view and rather personal point of view, because what we have touched in this is a much more feminist and sociological aspects of Indian society that actually, and we have actually been, I must say that it was very, very hard. I think I can guess that there's so much hard work has gone into it. When I read it and I thought that, okay, this is something you have put a lot of hard work on behind it, because there have been films, clips, which we have watched so many films and also interviewed filmmakers and come up with this thing. For me, when I was reading it and I was thinking that in Bangladesh, we are making films which are socially relevant, not as much as India and as much we want to make socially relevant films. And in a country, especially in South Asia, when we want to make socially relevant film, we actually try to focus on film issues that are more relevant to us. And this is something which is a issue which is not very relevant to us in a sense. I don't know whether my panelists over here would agree with me. It is female feticide. I wouldn't say that it is not, it does not exist in Bangladesh, but it has not become a major issue in a sense that in India, because I think India is a country which has more variety than us. In Bangladesh, our society is more homogeneous, in homogeneous nature. So in that sense, in India, there are issues like there are different Indias in the same geographical senses, like there are North India, South India, there are different cultures. So in that sense, that is very important that way that female feticide is a very strong issue in India, but not in Bangladesh in that sense. But one thing that you have touched upon is the patriarch society. And I think that patriarch society is something which is very common everywhere. And this is something important, that patriarch society acts in a different way in different culture and different country. In Bangladesh, our patriarch society acts in a much more different nature. And female feticide, as you have mentioned in your paper, that it has something to do with inheritance. And inheritance is a very important issue, I think, has to be touched upon. And we do touch Bangladesh in so major, various, what I can say that seminars and conferences, but not in films as much as we must actually, because inheritance is very important. And in Bangladesh recently, there had been an issue about how the girl child, whether they should inherit their parents, equal inheritance between the girl child and a boy child. There was a, what I can say, that it is a court issue or something that the government has. But the government has started to do this. Not yet. Not yet. Okay. Not there. Okay. So this has been a very burning issue among the, but they haven't actually taken any measures on that. But that is something I think is a very important issue. I think that those are the things actually that I can, as a filmmaker, find relevance. And I think that as a filmmaker, we should touch upon these matters most, but I don't know why we are still doing sort of more concentrating on films that are what I call is past. We are actually still in Bangladesh, the films that we find socially relevant are actually dwelling in the past, but in contemporary issues should be more prevalent in our films. So the films that you have mentioned, especially I have seen two of them. One is Mrityu Dand and Father, Son and Holy War, Anand Pattovardhan's film, which is a brilliant film, I thought. At Mrityu Dand, I have some reservation about that film, which is a good film, socially relevant film. The issues are good, but as a film, I have some reservations on that film. So from my point of view, I think that as a subject, which you have touched upon, is very exclusive to this region more than any other region. So in India, you have made more films on that than in Bangladesh, and we don't do much films on that. So I think that is what I wanted to say about this for the time being. So I'll listen to other people and then maybe I'll say something else.
Thank you, Alib, for your nice speech. I think there is a Dr. Moutushi is here and Sydney is there too. Is it that both are connected or Uma is connected?
Sorry, I'm just a guest. Debjani invited me, and I am basically like I'm doing physics, but I'm very much interested in films, so she invited me to listen her talk.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Uma, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, we can hear you. We can't see you.
Oh, well, that's all right. You can hear me.
Uma Dikuna is a program. She's a programmer and she's a editor of a film magazine. Okay, Uma, can you, if you are ready to talk, then you can talk. If you don't see you, it's okay. But at least we want to hear from you.
No, the problem is it's such a highly specialized subject and needs a lot of research, and I'm not really ready with my material. That is the problem. But I mean, as an issue, socially speaking, this is not. It's kept very submerged. People don't talk about it. Whatever is happening in this area is done clandestinely. So how much of that is reflected in our cinema is something that maybe my more academic panelists here can throw light on. At the moment, I don't have much data that I can talk about, unfortunately. But the subject is very relevant, and the question of women always being submerged, leading a very low-key life, and especially in the case of the woman child, of the girl child, it is not brought out sufficiently in public. It's kept very, very clandestine, secret, and unknown to the public at large. This is my view, if it makes any sense.
Okay, thank you, Uma. I think now you are okay. Today you wrote me you are not feeling well, and
I'm still a bit. I've got a touch of the flu and a cold.
I'm so sorry, my dear. But thanks for joining us. Yeah, thank you. Sydney, are you here? All right. maybe, okay, Shamim Akhtar, I'll ask you.
I'm here,
Yeah,
but
okay,
I'm,
Sydney.
okay, but
Yeah,
I'm
you
only
are-
listening. I have no preparation to speak. I just
All right.
came as audience to listen,
All
not to
right,
speak.
okay, okay. Enjoy, please. Shamim
Thank you.
Akhtar, please. Thank you.
Debjani and all others in the, who are present in this discussion. I would like to say this much that Debjani, it's a very touching issue. And almost as Ghalib said, that it's not prevalent here, though, but in a different form. I would say that what you discussed, I know how predominant and how, intense it is in India, this problem that you're facing every day almost, and the misogyny that is inherent in it is, I would say that it has, it is, it has spread over to other areas also. And thank you for, bringing it into focus, because this will be, it's really shocking to see that this is the sex of the child is determined and then, aborted. Maybe it's not that rampant in Bangladesh, but definitely there was a time when women were not really accepted in society as such, Still that is predominant. That, whenever the first child has to be a son, everybody welcomes a son. And definitely what happens is, maybe just because there is restrictions with regard to religious norms and all, so therefore there's no abortion as such. Maybe the facilities are, even though it's now there in different parts of Bangladesh, in the remotest areas and all that, but still what is predominant is that, the daughter is born, but she's subject to discrimination. And in fact, the invisibility and the early marriages and the education comes along, but then the other things somehow, they follow. So what I'm trying to say, make a point, is that yours was like, it will resonate in all of us, the situation that we are all in, and that's good. That's nice. And you have touched another point, the major thing that you have touched in your discussion, you have brought it to light, and that is about patriarchy. You have defined it, how patriarchy has been shown in through Patwardhan's films and other films also. So there is I would say, a process of trying to acknowledge the problem and also look at it deeply, and then probably go about how to contain it, or how to address it, or how to really restrict it, or whatever. What I'm trying to say is that this film, your attempt to address this issue, especially in a women's conference and in these, this would definitely reach out to others, because it's through this that we have this online or connections, or everybody's connected to this issue, and that you have spoken about this through the conference that is being held. And I thank you for bringing it to light. And I think this will make a difference. Thank you.
All right. If there is any question for anybody, maybe you can ask for Debjani or Ghalib or Shamim Akhtar or Uma. I mean, I don't know. Anybody can ask anything. But if there is none, then maybe Kabiri Gain we'll wrap up the whole discussion. And okay, there's no question. I think, yeah, everybody's a listener like me. There's all right, Professor Dr. Kaveri Gain. Yeah.
Thank you, Shobhan Bhai. Kabri didn't start it, so how can Kabri wrap it up? Kabri doesn't know. That is the right thing. When Shobhan Bhai actually asked me to come here and preside a session for this international conference, and he gave me the whole blank thing, the list, which one I might like. Then I said, okay, I flipped through and I thought that this would be the most relevant one for me. and I was supposed to come here on time, but sorry, I was out of town for the last 3 days, came very late last night, and I had to catch up some of my official chores, and then I came and I was late. I'm extremely sorry for that. Another thing is I cannot actually talk about the paper either because I didn't get the copy of it. Shobhan Bhai, I told you several times, but it didn't reach me. And when I started listening to the paper, it's really hard because I could understand that it was a very well-researched paper, as Shami Mapa and Ali Reza Ghalib has correctly pronounced those things. But I have some points though. I started listening to the paper maybe after 2/5 of the paper. So my question is, I expected the sun preference. It was of so much interest because if anybody asks me my all-time favorite admired film in the world, I would say within 1 or 2 is Pather Pachali. And how they are the Opu and Durga's tragedy that haunted me all over my life, and still I actually suffer if I think of Opu. And also the book, it was based on a novel, I know. And though here Shami Mapa and Reza Ghalib, they both told that the sun preference is not dominant here as it is in India, but here it is very, very grossly is there, the discrimination. If we watch any movie, then we can see that the girls, they are going for the household chores. They don't go to the schools. The only boy of the house, they go to school. And not only that, I can say about my own research on the Muktijuddher Cholochitra Nari Nirman. I actually went through all the films and I have a book on it. And there I found that even here Debjani pointed out about some of the movies which are that the fatherland and the Maynard and the boys are going for the war. Here it's a little bit different. That is motherland, biological mother is there, son is there, son is going for motherland, they are going for fighting. But when they come back, the girls, I actually analyzed all the films till 2011, and what I found was that no girl came with the victory procession after 16th of December when our country freed, because by that time, the mother is reverend, the boy, when he is going to the war, he's touching his mother's feet for blessings. He is fighting for the country as a mother, but other women, they are all missing. When they came back, they are schizophrenic or they were all died, missing from the scenario. And nobody came with the victory procession, not a single girl. So we can understand that Debjani is that part actually I got stuck, yes, that is in my country as well. And also I am actually film, I watch films almost every day, and bad or good, or it doesn't matter. In Bangladesh, if we watch the movies, then we can see there are different two sets. For boys different, the girls different. And the girls, they are Maya Manush. I don't know if you can understand that. And they should not do that, they should not do it. They will wear saris, they will put on tips, and they will be prepared for the marriage. These are the things. And the boys, they will be the future breadwinners. So the same thing. There is no difference. Only difference maybe we don't see the son preference that way in terms of what you call ultrasonogram, and then they will be demolished. No, not that way, but other than every way. And these days, the pressure on girl children is becoming very high because the rape culture in our country, and in recent years we see that, and we don't have the um, uh, property, inheritance property access. So in all aspects, women are not equal to men, the girls are not equal to sons, and it is very much evident in their daily life and in the films as well. Why that discussion didn't come from Shamimapa or Rizla Bhai, I don't know, but I see a huge difference in treating girls and boys, and there is a very strong son preference in the movies as well. But what I would like to say about the paper, as much as I actually could listen to Devjani's presentation, it could be with the movies, if the discussion could be synced more with the movies and some of its aspects with some visuals, that would be easier for us to grasp the thing. And I would also would like to know if you had used any theoretical framework through which frame you actually analyze the movies. That would be good for me to understand as an academic. But thank you very much. It is a very much touchy aspect. And Shamima rightly mentioned, and you brought that into light. So congratulations and thank you very much. And not knowing the whole paper, I talked just some general words here. Sorry for that, but thank you very much. And Shobhan Bhai, thank you for inviting me here so that I could listen to this paper, and I would read the paper because the paper is here. I would read it, and if I have any question, maybe I will contact with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your nice comments and everything. Debjani, it's a wonderful to see you, and next year we are looking forward to have you in Dhaka, because the next year we are having festivals in January, the third week of third Saturday, in January we'll start. And obviously we'll have the Women in Cinema conference, and it will be 20th edition of the Dhaka Film Festival, and 30 years of Rainbow Films, 30 years of festival, and Rainbow Film Society will celebrate 45 years. But Bangladesh will celebrate 50 years. So, whole year, so we in our next festival, so many things is waiting, and we want to see that this year, all the delegates who couldn't come, next year they will come, and more delegates will come, and it will be a bigger conference like what we had last year in Dhaka Club. I can remember full of students, full of delegates was there, but this time, actually, due to coronavirus, people are very aware about their health. Of course, they should be, and people are not coming out, but people don't care that much. But for this academic session, like this type of seminars, is very complicated to bring the people inside the auditorium. And also it is available in the Facebook, in our festival Facebook. So so many people are watching this discussion from their home. I can imagine these things. Anyway, tomorrow morning, Bangladesh Standard Time 9:30 will be our second day. First session will start, and all the day. And Sydney has a keynote paper tomorrow. Everybody is looking forward. Yeah, and 19th we have a West Meet East program, and on 20th we have a Satyajit Ray Memorial Lecture. There's a lot of people are waiting to hear Sharmila Thakur and Dhitiman Chatterjee, and Asaduzzaman Noor is going to preside on this session, and Mufidul Haq is going to present the keynote paper. Justice Rifat Ahmed is also participating. So we have a lot of things is waiting next 3 days in Dhaka Film Festival. I want you, everybody, watch our program in our festival web page, and especially the Facebook page, where we are sharing this video. Thank you for coming. And today, now I think it's okay. We can conclude this session for tomorrow morning. And tomorrow 9:30 is Bangladesh Standard Time. We'll see you again. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.